Greetings to all of you Pokemon anime fans out there. Over the past year, I've discussed what I believe to be the 3 most important gym battles of the whole anime. Each have their own reasoning and feel very representative of the anime on the whole. So let's look at them in some more depth, shall we? Okay, so it's no secret that the black and white anime is generally considered the worst saga of the whole show. I think a great deal of that comes from a dumb main protagonist and what some would consider unlikable companions and an annoying rival. Personally, I don't like Trip. I do, however, like Iris and Silent and have really grown a bigger appreciation for them over time. I really don't think they deserve the dislike or the critique that they get. It's also not helped that this saga is sandwiched in between, in my opinion, the 2 best series of the whole show. Diamond and Pearl and XY, both amazing in their own right. Like, if we take Diamond and Pearl for example, Ash's last battle with Volkner is meaningful. Ash's flair for battle and sparky personality pushes Volkner to want to take back the gym. He sees Ash as a strong trainer and the potential for a good gym battle. Yes, Ash's flair is still present here, but he isn't a knowledgeable and strong trainer. Back in Diamond and Pearl, he had a strong, evolved and balanced team. Here, he has very mediocre Pokemon in a strange rotation. It's just very lost here. For this video, I purposely chose this 2-parter because it's a prime example of what's wrong with this saga. And that is Ash. Well, this iteration of the character anyway. Before diving deeper, I know there's an argument to be made that the Nimbasa gym where Ash only bought Palpitoad is bad, and don't get me wrong, it is. But I think this one is much worse. For the most part, that episode is only bad due to Ash making an incredibly dumb decision to only bring 1 Pokemon to a gym battle. It was dumb, but that was it. The episode opens with a distressed kid shoving his way through Ash, Iris and Silent towards the Pokemon Center. It is pointed out to them that he and his team are in such bad shape because of the Verbank gym leader, who specialises in poison-type Pokemon, and that she's an incredibly formidable foe. This is good actually. It builds up suspense for this clearly powerful trainer, and actually implements exposition well, via the physical state of his knocked out Pokemon. Other trainers hype up this gym leader, claiming that she was able to wipe out their whole team with just one of her malevolent poison-type Pokemon. This kind of hyped up, powerful final gym leader would have been the perfect opponent and challenge for Ash to overcome, if the other 80 odd episodes up until this point had depicted him as a good and level-headed trainer. Surprise, surprise, they don't. I mean, if Ash had lost to her first time around and he learned to strategize because of it, then yeah, sure, I would definitely be more on board with it. Ash, being the incredible trainer that he is, decides it's more important to grab some dinner instead of forming a worthwhile strategy. Which I would imagine is truly relatable, but as far as interesting and fast-paced plot elements go, it's kind of poor. The gang enter what they think is a normal stadium, but turns out to be a dingy alleyway of a grunge-like club. Which is actually a pretty unique setting for the show and gives the anime a unique gritty edge. I also think a location like this fleshes the gym leaders out as characters more, rather than just a figurehead waiting for a challenge. Which is a plus I will give these games and the anime on the whole. They feel a lot more brought to life, and I think the stronger environments help with that a lot. The spectator is then introduced to the gym leader, Roxy, who admittedly is one of my favourite characters from the Pokemon games. She was first introduced in Black 2 and White 2 as the gym leader of Verbank City and is the second leader you face on your Pokemon journey. She is on stage playing loud but interesting music with her band, Roxy and the Toxics. Again, this is an interesting concept and would make strategic thought during battles all the more difficult. Which is a tool they could have introduced. If it was a plot point, Ash being unable to focus due to the loud music, then it could have been interesting and unique. It would be an organic way to somewhat explain his poor decision making. Roxy introduces her star player, Coughing, to the gang. Which is an incredibly stupid scene, as Ash used to knock out James's Coughing in the original series all the time. Like a fool, Ash gets out his Unova Pokedex and learns all about Coughing as though it was the first time he did that. Now, if they are insistent on doing this, then there is a much better way. Say Ash left his bag with Iris and Silent. Iris could ask Silent what it is, He could say coughing, and then she could grab Ash's Pokedex from his bag and get the information. It tells a possible new audience what this is and doesn't affect the existing lore in any way. Okay, this is what really annoys me about this episode. Ash proudly shows off to Roxy that he has 7 badges and that after beating her, he will qualify for the Unova League. Now, had this come from a series where he was a less irritating version of himself, then it still would have been egotistical and annoying. But then again, that could just be my own personal reading of the scene. To me, it just seemed like he was full of himself and annoying. It's the fact that Roxy's rules are for him to use all 6 of his Pokemon while she only uses 3, giving him a massive advantage. In the past and the future, from the point of view of this episode, the final gym battle has meant something. As I mentioned earlier on, in Diamond and Pearl, Volkner had lost the urge to battle and was in a crippling depression, just handing out badges for free. Only after seeing Ash's burning passion and skill as a trainer, he found his spark, and as a result, Ash beat the strongest leader in Sinnoh. It was a good battle, and it meant something. Equally, during X and Y, Ash was struggling to master the bond phenomenon with Greninja, and as a result, lost the battle against Wulfric. Alone in the Cold Woods, Ash and Greninja grew together, mastered their bond, and were able to master this form as well, and as a result, beat the Snowbell City Gym. They used this final gym to coherently resolve a growing plot point, and as I mentioned before, it had meaning. Whereas this feels very confused with what they're trying to do here. The battle hasn't even started yet, and all I'm thinking is, Ash must be so weak if his only chance at victory is taking this tremendous advantage. Which he does. Roxy tries to justify it by basically saying it's a gym leader's job to see the strength of their opponent. Most of the time, yes, but in this scenario, no.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Gym leaders need to bring out the strength and strategy of their opponents, and this just is not the way to do it. The battle begins with Boldore versus Coughing. Not a great matchup, but I suppose Ash could have made a much worse choice. The battle was uninteresting and short. Ash's strategy of Sandstorm doesn't work out due to Coughing's Clear Smog and then is taken out with a super effective Gyro Ball. Ash's Flying type gets pretty easily taken down by Coughing too. Once again, the winning matchup of Poison, Clear Smog and Gyro Ball. 2 or 3 minutes into the fight and Roxy has already knocked out 2 members of his team without breaking a sweat. And yet, most annoyingly of all, Ash still has his big-headed ego, which becomes more toxic with every statement. I guess it could be seen as Ash is trying to stay positive despite the fact she is wiping the floor with him. I guess that thinking could work, but something just didn't connect here. Maybe the dialogue, it's just awkward to watch. His apparent desperation doesn't pan out too well with him sending out the Grass-type Leavanny, which is incredibly weak to Poison-type moves, and yet I'm not entirely convinced he's aware of this error himself. Despite all the odds, he is able to take out Coughing with a strange combination of String Shot and Energy Ball. I don't think the animation looked too bad with the fluid movement, I just found it to be a weird choice on the writer's part, especially as this is the companion to the games, so the established type matchups exist in both. Next up for Roxy is a powerful Scolipede that immediately poisons Leavanny, causing it to fall in pain. Ash's minor victory was short-lived as one Sludge Bomb took out the already dwindling Leavanny, pushing Roxy ahead. Weirdly, Ash is shocked by this. Why? It has a huge disadvantage, and it was poisoned. Why is Ash like this in Unova? My best guess would be is that this is meant to be a big reset to the series, and they were trying to parallel the original run with decisions. If this was its own thing, disconnected from everything else, then fine, it works. I just find it hard to believe that Ash goes from the semi-finals of the Sinnoh League to this. For the first time in this entire two-parter, Ash makes a decent choice by sending out his Pignite, which actually has the type advantage due to it being a Fire-type starter. Especially against Scolipede, which is part Bug-type. Right, 2 things. First of all, I think there are some slight inconsistencies with Roxy's strength if a Flame Charge and Fire Pledge is enough to knock Scolipede out. I know Ash has the type advantage, but still. Secondly, she hands the Poison Pignite a Pecha Berry to heal its status condition. So, on top of Ash having an extra free Pokemon to fight with, Roxy is throwing him yet another bone? Okay, that's fine, it's not like this is a top-notch episode and plot anyway. I think the writers were trying to illustrate that Roxy is enjoying herself and wants it to continue for as long as possible. However, I read it differently. I see it in a more patronising sense, that she's sort of playing with him a little bit. I'd be interested to see what others think of Roxy's character in the anime. Roxy's final Pokemon is a Garbodor, and in all honesty, she's probably saving the strongest for last. It's a generic back and forth fight with Pignite getting smacked around a lot, ending with a powerful Hyper Beam from Garbodor. Ash's second good choice of the series was sending out Palpitoad and relying on its ground type moves. Let's just hope he utilises it to its strongest. Nope, Palpitoad is taken out with lots of powerful poison attacks, leaving Ash with his final Pokemon against Univa's undefeated gym leader. I mean, there are somewhat stakes now as it's coming down to the end, but everything leading up to this moment wasn't a fun or interesting watch. Again, the whole undefeated title would hold a lot more value if Ash was a stronger trainer here. Just saying. I don't like being negative, but had they written Ash better across this era, then it could have been one of the greatest gym battles ever done. The final matchup is Ash's Pikachu against Garbodor. Honestly, I would have more faith in this fight had Pikachu not been knocked out by a new trainer and his Snivy at the beginning of the series. I know Pikachu was injured and didn't have access to all of his moves, but it still bothers me a bit. In the end, Ash's victory only came down to Pikachu's static ability, paralysing Garbodor, which to me feels like a really lucky break, though a lot of this match feels like it was spoon-fed to Ash. The 6-on-3 matchup, the berry that heals poison, and now this. It almost feels like it would be more embarrassing if he had lost to Roxy. It just feels like so much plot convenience and awkward writing. It felt like they were trying to write something deep and interesting, but it just sort of fell apart. But trust me when I say, this victory feels in no way earned or deserved. My biggest peeve with all of this is that it just feels like wasted potential. I know the black and white anime on the whole feels like that too. I understand that it's meant to serve as a software reboot and as a gateway for new viewers, but they didn't have to make Ash this dense and stupid. He's a plank of wood here. As I said earlier on, Roxy is one of my favourite characters from the games. I find her backstory, personality and choice of venue really interesting. I will concede that I think her personality is pretty on form here, but she never leaves her venue. I think they should have developed her character and relationship with her father as seen in the games. They could have had this been a single episode consisting of a 3-on-3 fight and still had an episode or two fleshing out Roxy's character, and showing more of a relationship form with Ash. Even if Ash's character and level of strength was still the same, I do think that this would have been the better option overall. What do all of you think? Do you agree with me, or are you a fan of this two-parter? Which is completely fine, I'm happy you're able to find some enjoyment from it. So, the focus of these episodes outside of Ash claiming his final gym battle is the growth between him and Greninja. This whole XY saga has been building towards the exciting bond phenomena Ash shares with his Greninja. Even from the very start when he meets Froakie in Lumio City, the series has established this deep connection between them, more so than any other Pokemon. Even Pikachu, to some degree, I would argue. I think this point is further proven by the manifestation of their bond. This fusion that the pair strive to achieve is their connection in perfect harmony. A form that they have been struggling to attain as of late, and one they have been unable to fully form due to a wall of water separating them. Well, this point is brought up almost immediately as this first episode opens up. Bonnie makes reference to this form and names it Ash Greninja, which is fine. It is established, which I think was the point. I just wish it was Ash who came up with the title, or at least kick-started this conversation and goal, as all the characters are aware of this form existing now. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, as it means it is an established goal. I just think it would have made the character writing stronger overall. Ash goes in overly confident as usual, a point which admittedly I dislike about his character. During his poor battle against Roxy, I made note of his confidence and how much it irritated me. Don't get me wrong, it does here too. I mean, granted, he's a better trainer this go-round, but it still isn't great to listen to. But unlike before, Ash makes reference to his losing streak, which is clearly playing on his mind. And the fact his rival, Sawyer, is present doesn't help, especially as Sawyer looks up to him, so I think Ash is trying to live up to that expectation here. At the gym itself, I think Wulfric makes such an impactful first impression.
Given all the focus on Ash, it would have been all too easy for the writers to make him very generic. The overall point would still be achieved, but there is clearly more to him. He's so warm, ironic, I know, and has such a burning passion for battling. I think this dialogue and sense of being alone illustrates that he'll be quite the challenging opponent, and as he should be. He is the last gym leader you face in the XY games, so you would expect some level of strength. Wulfric just feels very fleshed as a character across this whole arc, which is great. These gym battle episodes have so much more meat to them when the gym leaders exhibit good personalities and strong dialogue. Ash's strong start in this battle makes the inevitable downfall all the more impactful. Horlucha makes quick work of his Olisnew, which feeds into Ash's confidence for the battle, which is where the issues with his tactics begin to show. I think this is a solid first step in the arc they're trying to tell. It gives Ash a bit of hope and highlights that he does have good strength as a trainer. It's more his mental well-being, the loose streak playing on his mind. All the while, Sawyer is sat in the audience witnessing all of this play out, which must be having an effect on both of them. As Sawyer has pointed out across the series, Ash is more than just a rival. He's the person he looks up to, someone he wants to impress, which makes the struggle Ash is exhibiting all the more difficult for both parties. From Ash's point of view, he wants to be that person Sawyer looks up to. He is feeling the need to lead up to that, and the pressure of it is hard. A gym leader who Sawyer has already beaten, as Wulfric pointed out at the beginning of the fight. The struggle for Ash seems to be the possibility of Sawyer, his rival, surpassing him. Will he make it to the Kalos League at this rate? By the time Greninja comes out, the odds are already against him. Wulfric has taken the lead from him. All Ash can do is press on, literally. His main instruction is just fire, fire, fire moves from Greninja, which again seems to show that his head is not in this battle whatsoever. He's scared of losing again. It's messing with his mind. So much so that the water barrier between Greninja and the harmonious form they want to achieve seems so impossible. It's such a good way of physically visualizing the mental block he's experiencing, and goes to show that in this state, he can't win against such a strong final opponent. His desperation for a victory shines through. Any and all strategy is gone, and Wulfric sweeps Greninja in the end. A Pokemon that earlier on in the series almost took out Dianthus Gardevoir, which proves Greninja has the strength and the ability. Ash is just too rattled at the moment to form any mean-well strategy. Wulfric's guiding words at the end of the battle are quite a powerful way to end the gym battle. I think they were needed. I think Ash needed to know why he didn't succeed this time. It was also hopeful in the sense that he walked away with some clear indication of what he needed to work on in time for their next battle. I think these words needed to come from Wulfric. After all, he was the one who beat Ash. Someone like Clement could have easily told Ash this, but all the power comes from Wulfric. It's an acknowledgement of the battle from both sides. Again, it gives such good depth to a side character such as Wulfric. All Ash does from here is beat himself up. His losing streak didn't end, and he blames himself for it. He didn't handle the final gym battle very well, and he's hurting. I would argue more so than any other time in the series. I mean, there is an argument to be made that his 6-on-6 battle with Paul, where he was wrecked and hurt too, possibly even more so, but I think this had more weight as the final hurdle before the league. A hurdle that his friend and rival has already overcome. A lot of it came from a poor strategy and a struggle to keep the bond going with his Greninja. So him running off into the woods makes so much sense now. It's the logical next step in the story. The setting itself aids this idea so phenomenally. It's the woods by Snowbell City. It's cold, secluded, and away from larger civilization. It really emphasizes and visualizes Ash's internalized feelings. While I think a room in the Pokemon Center would have worked in what they're trying to do, this sort of environment just represents so much more.
So much more!
I do sort of like the idea that Serena attempted to comfort him. They have a strong connection, so much that she can immediately see how much this has thrown him. So of course she would attempt to comfort him now. Ash is usually the most positive and upbeat protagonist on television, but here he's just so cold and blunt with her. It's needed, I think. While in some ways it's cruel, equally it's pushing the larger point of how he feels. But given the nature of this show, that sort of reaction couldn't be the precedent. She does get through to him, and it's done effectively while utilising the snow all around them. A few tough words and a few close-range snowballs seem to do the trick in breaking his guard. I really like the method she used. I think just words may have been a bit weak, although the actual dialogue itself does prove to him just how loved and valued he is by his friends and rivals in the Kalos region. Which is a nice final touch to the exchange. I think it softens quite a tough scene. Well, a tough scene for this anime anyway. I think what makes this defeat so effective is that it shows that Ash isn't the only one feeling tremendous pain. We as the spectator witness Greninja struggle to come to terms with the outcome of the gym battle. I think something like this only works with Greninja given how much character development and plot relevance it has, opposed to other members of Ash's team. It also manages to put the pair of them on an equal plane. They are now essentially mirrored versions of one another. The plot arc of this trilogy is all about these two and their bond, so it sort of needed this, or something similar to happen beforehand in order to achieve their goal. Now, this anime saga hasn't been afraid to highlight key moments from Ash's past, and this episode is no exception. Ash remembers a time when he was little where he saved a bunch of desperate Pokemon from a harsh storm. At face value, it seems like the whole thing was to trigger and ignite the decision to save some more Pokemon from a bad snowstorm. I would argue this image does more than just that. It seems like that memory was meant to remind Ash of the person he is, and the act itself proves he's still there. The drastic change to the environment forced Ash to break free from his wobble. It just feels like the writers were throwing all the shots out here, and I love them for it. Although, if I'm being honest, I do wish after all of this build-up it was something more exciting than a spooper almost dying to bring Ash Greninja out for the first time. But then again, I guess it goes to show how much of an impact the small things really can have. And it doesn't take anything away from the point, it's still strong. They have a tremendous bond, and now it's at full force. They have overcome their issues and literally broke free from their barrier. Them as a duo is clearly very strong. As if this beautiful middle piece of the puzzle didn't already do so much right, it ended in such a special and significant way. So right at the beginning of XY, Froakie chose Ash. It could sense the bond phenomenon and knew that Ash would only be able to draw out its true power. It pushed its Pokeball against him and gracefully, Ash accepted. Well, Greninja once again pushes its Pokeball towards Ash. This act is so symbolic. It's Greninja's way of telling Ash without words that it would like to continue their journey. They may have achieved their bond form, but they sure aren't done. It parallels their original path and proves they're still friends. Which coolly brings us to the rematch between Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town and the Snowball City gym leader Wulfric. I found Wulfric's burning passion for this battle once again so funny and entertaining, so much so that he doesn't care for the official gym rules and does his best to speed the referee along. Yes, we get it, we heard it the first time, he has 8 badges, let's cut the chit chat and battle already. It's just so good and adds so much flavour to him as a person. As I have said before, the gym leaders are objectively so much better when they have actual personality. It makes the cities they occupy, and I guess the greater Pokemon universe, feel so much more lived in. I do like that Wulfric is still a tricky opponent to take on. I think the battles itself would lose so much significance if Ash just walked in and swept the whole team with Ash Greninja. Doing it this way with his selected team highlights the old Ash is back, with a good strategy in mind. I think it makes the reflection he did in the previous episode continue to trickle through in the right way. Otherwise, it loses a lot of depth on the whole and just undoes so much good character work. So, if we look back at the XY games for just a second, it was a known fact that of the first 6 generations of Pokemon, Wulfric's Avalugg was the highest level Pokemon that any gym leader had up until that point. It is a tanky and defensive mon, which shines through in the games and the anime. At level 59, it is an in-game feat before taking on the Elite Four, which in both cases just elevates Wulfric as an opponent. He is clearly no pushover. I think it's interesting that when the players face Wulfric in the games, he doesn't use his Mega Abomasnow, which seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. I guess for the anime series itself, they were possibly looking for some kind of shock value, and Wulfric pulling out his ace card sort of does that here. I just think it would have made the dual immersive experience all the stronger, but that really is a small nitpick on my part. After all, the fight between this Mega Abomasnow and Ash Greninja was incredibly entertaining and a great final hurdle. While I found Pikachu and Talonflame to be fun watches and both battled well, the real factor here was the final 2 Pokemon. everything in this trilogy of episodes was leading to this battle. Look, this is the final gym battle of an incredible era of the show, so a lot was riding on this. I can tell there was probably a lot of pressure on the writers and animators to make this as spectacular as possible, and fair play to them, I think they delivered something special. The initial showdown between these two Pokemon was very good visually, with the battle camera implemented this series. And unlike the first battle, Ash is definitely renewed with a stronger thought process. He is really showing Wulfric what he is about and why he deserves a spot in the Kalos League. It's these two forces battling it out which really ignites Wulfric's love of battling, so much so that he triggers Mega Evolution to take on Ash Greninja. This is clearly a bit of a novelty for him, something he only brings out against especially strong trainers, and in this instance Ash is illustrating to him that he fits that bill so well. I think Ash and the spectator had a shared sense of surprise as Mega Olisnew came out. As I said, this is the last gym battle of the XY series and the last official gym battle Ash does during the whole show, so I think it being this absolute beast of a showdown was the best way of ending it. After a lot of intense battling, Mega Olisnew fell and the newly powered Ash Greninja won the whole thing. It took everything it learnt across its journey and smashes through its mental and physical barriers to give one of the best battles of the whole anime, and one which arguably has the most significance overall. While I do think there are some other great gym battles across the show, like Volkner as mentioned earlier on, this one just hits harder for me. So the Volkner battle relied more on the restoration of faith in battling, and Ash was the opposing value in that scenario. He was able to restore a gym leader back to form. It presented more depth for Volkner as a character than anything too large in terms of greater plot relevance. It is something I will cover in depth in its own video, as I also think it's very good. For me, this one does more as it cleverly manages to interweave the whole arc into the final gym battle in such a meaningful way. That's why this is the best gym battle in my opinion.
In my previous entry, I decided to take it episode by episode. That worked given how plot reliant this mini arc was. However, as this is incredibly character driven, I thought it would be better to split this one into character focused segments. So let's begin. So, it is established already that there is some kind of issue with this gym. Paul regarded it as the worst gym in Sinnoh, whereas Barry perceives it as the best, which is a good and intriguing hook for the gym to begin with. Ash and co arrive at the gym, only to find no gym leader but a machine offering out gym badges for free. This really irritates Ash and he challenges this, quite literally by throwing himself against the door and pushing the AI. The machine attempts to throw him from the side of the building but is stopped by an unknown trainer. Ash witnesses as an Infernape shatters the robotic arm and he is free. This is an excellent introduction for Flint. While it doesn't seem like all that much is being done, it's actually doing so much setup. My own reading and headcanon is that Flint has been aware that something rotten is going on and has been for quite some time, so I figured he would be watching the gym, hoping to find out what's going on. He knows his best mate is in a crippling depression, only there's not a lot he can do. I think seeing this trainer with a burning passion for a gym badge must have reminded him of Volkner in some way, shape or form. So he intervenes and brings the two together. It definitely makes sense. The episode quickly establishes the close bond between Flint and Volkner, both in the present and the past. The conversation between the pair highlights how worried Flint is for his longest friend, and the feeling of hopelessness. Flint and the ex-poacher open up about Volkner's history. Their first meeting led to a battle between them. One where Flint wiped the floor with Volkner. This in turn just pushed a very young Volkner to work harder and harder and eventually beat him. This battle did so much more though. It was the forging of their friendship, one point in their lives they will look back on fondly. This carries on to the pair of them just about being able to stop a Pokemon poacher. They are injured, bloody, bruised and exhausted, but it grounds them, shows them from a young age what they're capable of doing together. Hell, it's even so impactful that the poacher turns over a new leaf and opens a Starbucks right here in Sunnyshow. It's a bit random, but equally kind of nice that the three of them had this dark experience and now feel like a tight family unit. As time went on, they selected paths. Flint continued to train and became a member of the Elite Four, leaving the poacher and Volkner behind in the city. After Volkner refuses to fight Ash, Flint steps up to the mark. The coffee shop owner pushes Volkner to watch the battle, hoping it might spark something deeper inside of him. For his own part, Ash does really well. He isn't able to take Infernape out, but I think people need to remember just how strong the Elite Four are. I know Ash almost beat Diantha, but he essentially had a Mega Evolved Pokemon, and said Pokemon is arguably the strongest in his arsenal. This battle does seem to open up Volkner. It takes a minute, but seeing two strong forces battle it out does something. Initially, after Team Rocket steal the tower, Flint jumps onto it alongside Ash and Volkner, but isn't able to stay on without falling. This is fine, as it's more about Volkner and Ash at this point. I do think it shows strong will of character and just how keen Flint also is to help where possible, putting him on a similar plane with the other two. I mean, he does keep trying to motivate Brock to cycle to create energy to save sick Pokemon, so there's that. Flint remains at Volkner's side for the rest of this arc. He has a strong appreciation for Ash and is happy to see that his friend's confidence has been restored. While acting more as a plot tool towards the beginning, I really like the addition of Flint here. I think the support system of his friend was needed alongside Ash to bring him back to form. As far as these few episodes go, I think the series fleshed him out quite well as a character. As stated earlier on, the gym is in a wreck. It's handing out gym badges as the leader no longer has passion for battles and wishes to be left alone. Paul and Ash are very similar people. Their personalities clash, but the ideal system is the same. They want to earn badges and know they have strived for them. I can understand why this would really annoy him. Whereas Barry is the kind of person to coax who doesn't take things too seriously. For him, not having to work for the badge is sheer perfection. It's very much in Ash's burning passion to challenge and confront this kind of gym, which he does. Despite the slight danger to the situation, it enables him to meet and interact with the Sunyshore gym leader. Under normal circumstances, I can see Ash behaving like this. Let's say, for argument's sake, this is the third gym of some random region. Ash gets offered a badge for nothing. He would be so ambivalent to take it. He would react this way, which makes this one a much more pressing subject for him, given the fact that this particular gym leader is regarded as the strongest in the region and has such a reputation. A trope which hasn't been done before, but later would be butchered by Roxy. I get why Ash should be fuming with a lack of battle. He wants to prove himself. He wants to train his Pokemon and more than anything, loves Pokemon battles. This is the last major hurdle for him and the door is slammed shut in his face. He is going to kick off about it. Despite being denied a battle with Volkner, Ash jumps at the chance to have a battle with Elite Four member Flint. To be fair, it is a really good one, although more focus was placed on Pikachu than anything else. This works though, the whole point is supposed to be how this battle is paralleling Volkner's original battle with Flint when they were kids. Ash being the stand-in for Volkner himself, and it works. We see Volkner's walls begin to come down. Despite the power difference, neither Ash nor Pikachu back down. I know there will be some that will comment on the fact that this overpowered Pikachu wasn't able to beat Infernape, but that's the point, it's not about winning, it's supposed to be a reminder. The poacher, like Flint, saw the potential in Ash. They knew his passion for battle and mindset would be enough to break Volkner from his slump, and it worked. Once Team Rocket has control of the tower, Ash and Volkner are just about to get on board. They sneak around the tower and Volkner continues to open up to Ash. He feels a bit guilty that their initial gym battle was cut short, despite the fact it was entirely down to Team Rocket and not on him. I think little passages like this are really good. On the one hand, it fleshes Volkner out more and highlights the leaders of these gyms are more than just people waiting for a challenge, while further proving how much more open he is now. Ash quite seamlessly has managed to get this depressed figure to feel comfortable enough to open up to him. It's very good. Look, the fact Team Rocket is recycling electricity is a believable way to immobilize the use of Pikachu and Raichu. It does make sense. Ash has to use another Pokemon. While I like how dynamic Ash's Grottl's evolution is aboard this rocket, it did feel a bit random, especially as there wasn't much of a build-up or a hint recently of this occurrence taking place. However, if the point was to further impress Volkner to continually show him Ash's strengths, then yeah, I guess it kinda works. Once the rocket is returned home, Volkner promises Ash they will have an official gym battle, but he will have to wait a little while for the gym to be repaired. I really like this. I think the in-universe delay adds a lot and makes it all feel that much more believable. The actual battle itself is really fun, and more than anything shows why Volkner is regarded as the strongest leader in the region. Ash seems to be having a hard time taking him down, especially as Volkner became all the more comfortable with battling again. The final climax of this fight must mean so much for Ash. As I said, this is the last major obstacle before the Sinnoh League, his last chance to earn a badge and show off his strength, which is why it feels so poetic for it to come down to the wire with Infernape and its Blaze ability. Since it was a Chimchar, it has always struggled with Blaze. It goes insane and loses control. Well, this battle concludes with Infernape finally being able to master it. One final supercharged Flame Wheel sees Ash's victory. It's such a nice character moment to finish on and almost feels like a prototype for Ash Greninja later on in this anime. The passionate battle draws to an end and Ash receives his final Sinnoh Gym Badge. So, it's clear to Ash once he arrives at the gym that whoever the gym leader is, he must just not care. There's a massive tub of gym badges out on display for trainers to just take at their own leisure. This really annoys him, and he just isn't on board with it. I have had a think about this, and surely Volkner is breaking some kind of rule here. I always figured the league officials would be closely watching the leaders to make sure they're following all the rules. Would they not intervene and possibly replace him if he wasn't doing his job properly? Ash's outburst leads to Volkner's mate Flint escorting him to meet the gym leader. So, the introduction to Volkner is very interesting. Flint attempts to introduce Ash and his friends, but Volkner does not seem the least bit interested in chatting to them. He's quiet, recluse, sad, and just wants to be left alone. I really like this. The anime handles Volkner's depression in a very mature way and isn't afraid of it. They fully push this character-led plot. Oftentimes, it seems too juvenile to attempt something like this, but the setup was done very well. It becomes clear that alone, Flint isn't enough to bring Volkner out of his pain. He's fed up with battling, had enough of the gym, and as an extra measure has just thrown all his time and energy into his passion for technology and electricals. By building the tower, which uses solar panels for raw power, that's his whole life at the moment, and to be fair, he has done a lot to improve the city. While the backstory establishes the dynamic between Volkner and Flint, it shows a lot more. As we know, Flint continued his journey away from Sunnyshow and grew strong enough to become an Elite Four member. The poacher stopped being a criminal and decided to serve coffee instead. Still not sure how a battle with children turns you from thief to barrister, but fair enough. Volkner is alone in the city as its gym leader. He's a formidable trainer and quickly acquires a reputation as the strongest in the region. But there is a serious downside to that. He is constantly beating trainers. More times than not, they're too weak to even take out a single Pokemon. It's what leads to his depression. He's done. He does the one thing he still loves, and that's building technology and evolving the city. The character motivation makes sense. But as a side effect of his depression, he has pushed his friends aside and became very cold towards others. Which is why Flint is so keen to break him from this, as is the Starbucks owner. I apologise for the jokes, but I don't think this character is named. According to Bulbapedia, he is called the Proprietor. Fair enough. Despite attempting to walk out during the battle, the Proprietor is able to make Volkner see it through to the end, which he does, as Volkner essentially sees Ash in himself. He is reminded of his love for battles he had when he and Flint were children, and that's enough to break him from the slump. He sees Ash's determination, strategic moves, and realises his role as gym leader is important and it's necessary for him to continue. The Team Rocket Tower is fine. This episode is from an era where Team Rocket has to appear in every episode, and in this case, it elevates the plot anyway. It gives another thing for Ash and Volkner to bond over and ties Volkner's other passion. He built this tower. He knows it better than anyone else. And I mean, we get a fun Giovanni segment. I picture the boss having a comfy floor to sleep on, as conquering the world can be tiring work. Once Ash's newly evolved Torterra has made short work of Team Rocket, Volkner is able to fly the rocket back to its original position in Sunnyshow City. Despite all the collateral damage, he is confident the gym will be back to form soon and happily invites Ash back for a fight soon, which he happily accepts. Word must have spread quick that Volkner is back to form and is ready to fight some opponents, as the line outside the gym is just so big. This is so great. We as the audience can see that he more than deserves the reputation, and that many others like Ash are keen to hit up this gym and try to win a gym badge. It's subtle but adds so much more to this scene. While holding up a very good fight, especially at the beginning, Volkner offers Ash a lot of positive advice and feedback on things he does during the gym fight. These little lines of dialogue is clear evidence of his character growth. It's very easy to see just how much of an impact Ash has had on him, and how much he is relishing this gym battle, which is amazing. It really does prove who he was originally, and lives up to the young boy in the flashbacks who wanted to be as powerful as he could be. Not only is he engaging with the whole experience, but is clearly enjoying himself as well. While this battle clearly shows why Volkner has retained the title of strongest gym leader in all of Sinnoh, he is growing all the more powerful as he gets comfortable. The build-up is done very well, to be fair. I think this final showdown between his Luxray and Ash's Infernape must mean so much to him. Like in that previous battle Ash had with Flint, it's very clear to everyone that Volkner saw himself in Ash, and that was the driving force for him. All he could do was picture himself in Ash's shoes. Whereas here, Ash seems to be embodying Flint. It's so similar to the original battle he had as a kid, the one where he was able to beat Flint for the first time. The clear sense of euphoria he must have had for the victory, it's the very first time he realised just how much fun battles could be, and that was the initial clutch to push his motivations. The fact that this is the first real gym battle since he fell into his depressive state is so perfect. What better way to reignite his love for battles than this? Yes, he lost, but he gained something even more important: his love for battles. Ash saved a gym leader that day. Well, what a journey it has been. I always envisioned this mini-series of videos to be a sort of trilogy. To me, Ash vs Roxy, Ash vs Wulfric, and Ash vs Volkner are the three most important gym battles in the whole series. One showed how to tie existing plot elements into a gym battle to elevate it, another was able to tell a character-driven affair and has the protagonist be the thing that saves them, and another is a prime example of how not to do a gym battle. It shows the pitfalls which could easily be fallen into. I will leave the links to the other two videos in this series in the description down below if you would like to check them out. Well, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of this gym battle? Please let me know. If you enjoyed this video and would like to stay up to date with all my content, then please hit that like button and subscribe. It will help my channel continue to grow. I'm trying to reach 2,000 by the end of the year and would appreciate all the support. If you're interested, I do have a Discord server which I will link in the description down below. Right, I have to figure out what Pokemon anime video to do next. I will see you all soon.